I'll do one video before I retire. This is a combined video. It's a team effort. I'm going to talk, I don't have a lot to say about judging, but I'm going to start with the concept of ABC groups. The way judging used to be, in order to make sure that judges kind of had people, an idea where people were going to place in events, one of the things they were trained to do is to identify an A, B, and C group in every event they went to. The B group was essentially people that ideally met the criteria for the event. So people, if you had a, I don't know how I can give an example that parents would understand. Hopefully you'll understand this. If there's a couple tests that they used to have, juvenile and senior bronze tests, that require 2 doubles. So the B group would be somebody who goes out in competition and lands 2 doubles. Does, you know, the, I wouldn't say the minimum requirements for the tests, but they do a pretty solid standard for that test. That's the B group. The C group are people who fail to meet the standards for the test, who wouldn't, if they were taking a test to get into that group, would not pass it and wouldn't be able to skate in that group. People who are below the standard of the category. And this is sometimes because they passed a test they shouldn't have, but often just because they skate badly on the day. Maybe they have an injury, maybe they have maybe they're ill, maybe they are tired, maybe they don't like the rank, maybe they're, you know, there's a lot of reasons why people can suddenly skate below standard, and maybe it's because they're in a category they shouldn't be in, but but not always. And then there's the A group, which are people who are significantly above the standard of the event, to the point where they probably should be in a higher level event. There has been a problem now and then in skating with people keeping people in an event until they win it, long past the time when they should have gone up an event. But far more commonly, the reason is, you know, you kind of plan your year around a certain category, and you often have to choreograph your solos 7-8 months in advance. So if you were kind of in a strong B group at 7 months before, there's a very good chance that by the time you get to the competition, you're going to be in an A group. You're going to be way above the level, and you can't just suddenly pop yourself up a level. That generally means changing your solo, changing your costume, changing your changing the people you're skating against. It's often too much effort and goes against the yearly planning that you've already made. So people would stay in an event the whole year, change in the off season. There's other factors involved too. That's generally how the A, B, and C group goes. I can't stand when my kids are in a C group, especially at sectionals. I've very rarely had C group skaters, and when I do, it's painful, humiliating, and I'm slightly ashamed. Not just for myself, but partly for them as well, because they have to go out and be placed near the bottom of their groups, which is not pleasant for anyone and shouldn't be necessary. You should be able to meet the standards of your event. One of the interesting things about the A, B, and C groups is the vast majority, it still works with the current judging system. It doesn't, it's not quite as applicable, especially since they took away the competitive tests. It's really hard to tell what the category standard is when there's no test now to enter that category. But it still tends to apply to most events where there's a middle group of people who are kind of right about where you would expect them to be in the group, a few that are significantly better than the group, and a few that are significantly worse than the group. And the groups tend to work out that it's about a third, a third, a third, most of the time. Now there can be huge fluctuations in that. The A group can sometimes expand or shrink to nothing. The C group can sometimes expand to take up most of the category where they're all below standard or shrink to almost nothing. The B group usually exists all the time, and it can either swallow up the A group or swallow up the B group or just expand a little bit in both directions. And the numbers obviously change from event to event, but I would definitely say more than any other configuration, you're going to get 33% A's, 33% B's, 33% C's. I generally expect my kids to be B's. If I have enough time and ice to work with them, I expect about, I'd say about 40% of my kids to be B's, 50% of my kids to be A's, and 10% to be C's. And the 10% would be probably not even 10% actually. There was a couple of years in Labrador where I had fewer students and adequate ice and lesson time where my kids all placed within the top third of their groups. That was early on, once I started getting the faith of the community. I was constantly overbooked with skaters, didn't have any more ice, so my skaters got less and less and less and less lessons. And by the last 2 or 3 years there, I had 20, 25, 28 students who were getting 10 to 15 minutes of free skate time a week. This is compared to, I know I had this conversation with a skater in St. John who said he was getting about 8 hours of lesson time a week. So I had a student competing in his category that was getting 15 minutes a week, and he was getting 8 hours a week. That's a little bit of a discrepancy between the fine-tuning you can do in that amount of time. So in the last 2 or 3 years there, I ended up having about 25% A's, 25% B's, and 50% C's. There were just kids that I couldn't, if they couldn't motivate themselves and control their training and control their work habits and control their corrections, they just weren't going to raise themselves out of the basement. Which was obviously one of the reasons why I was prompted to leave Labrador. The fact that I just didn't, I wanted to teach my students for 90 minutes to 3 hours a week each, and I was getting 15 to 20 minutes a week each. It was painful for me, and the fact that I was still able to get decent results off that, I consider a huge accomplishment. But I have completely gone off on a tangent on this video. So the point is, ABC groups, I wouldn't think of B as average. I would think of B as actually, it's a strong entry-level position. It just so happens that the A's are a little bit stronger. This is going to come up in a few videos, and now that I've explained it here, I hope I don't have to explain it anywhere else. So I'll just refer to A, B, and C groups in future videos. Thanks for listening. Ooh, don't like that finish. Bye.